Today, we're diving into a story that has inspired millions of people around the world. But this isn't just a book summary. We're going to explore a really powerful fable about life's biggest questions, all through the eyes of a man who literally gave up everything to find out what truly matters. It's a wild thought, isn't it? I mean, what if letting go of the one thing you value most on the outside was the key to gaining everything you actually need on the inside? That very question is right at the heart of this entire story. So to really get this, we've got to meet our main character, Julian Mantle. Now, this guy is the poster child for what our culture calls success. But as we're about to see, that success came with a cost that was dangerously high. Julian was an absolute legal superstar. I mean, a brilliant, hard-charging lawyer who seemed completely unstoppable. He was a force of nature in the courtroom, totally convinced he was destined for greatness, and his whole life was built around this relentless ambition for work, for prestige, and of course, for winning. And you know what? On the surface, he had it all. His life was like a checklist of the ultimate dream. A massive mansion, a private jet, a house on some tropical island, and the crown jewel of it all, his most prized possession, a gleaming, bright red Ferrari, the ultimate symbol that he had made it. And then bam, in a single instant, it all came crashing down. Right in the middle of a packed courtroom, at the absolute peak of his career, Julian Mantle had a massive heart attack. But this wasn't just his body breaking down, it was his spirit too. It was the moment that the whole glittering facade of his perfect life just shattered, and he was forced to see the deep, profound emptiness underneath it all. So this crisis, this complete breakdown, becomes the trigger for an incredible transformation. Julian realizes that to save his life, he has to completely tear down the one he's so carefully built. His recovery wasn't going to happen in a hospital. It was going to happen on the other side of the world, deep in the Himalayas. And this really shows you the profound trade Julian was willing to make. He was swapping all of his possessions for a real sense of purpose. He was giving up all that courtroom prestige for a shot at inner peace. And he was trading all of his power for the possibility of finding genuine enlightenment. So he did it. He sold everything. The mansion, the jet, and yup, even that shiny red Ferrari. With his old life basically turned into cash, he took off for India and journeyed deep, deep into the Himalayan mountains, looking for the sages of Savannah, this mystical group of monks who were said to hold the ancient secrets to a joyful, fulfilled life. And what he finds up there becomes the absolute core of his transformation. See, the sages don't just give him a list of tips. They share an entire philosophy for living, all built around 7 timeless virtues. But here's the really clever part. They didn't just hand him a textbook. They taught him all this wisdom through a story, a really strange and unforgettable fable. And why'd they do that? Because stories are how our brains are wired to learn. Abstract ideas can go in one ear and out the other, but a story filled with symbols, well, that creates strong connections in your brain, embedding the lessons so deep that you can recall them in an instant. So in this fable, every single element is a visual metaphor for one of the 7 virtues. You've got this magnificent garden, which is your mind. Tend to it, and it'll flourish. Then there's a towering lighthouse, which symbolizes your purpose in life, the light that guides you. Then a giant sumo wrestler appears, and he's a powerful symbol for Kaizen, the art of constant self-improvement. He's wearing nothing but a pink wire, which represents self-discipline. He finds a gold stopwatch, a crucial reminder that time is our most precious, non-renewable resource. He smells fragrant roses, which teach him about serving others selflessly. And finally, he walks on a path of diamonds, a lesson to embrace the beauty of the present moment. Let's just zoom in on one of these for a second. Kaizen. Have you heard of this? It's a Japanese philosophy of constant, never-ending improvement. The whole idea is that self-mastery isn't about some huge, dramatic change. No, it's about taking small, consistent, positive steps every single day. The sages teach that if you want to improve your outer world, you have to start by improving your inner world. And in the fable, this whole idea is represented by that powerful sumo wrestler. He's such a great symbol for the strength, the focus, and that unwavering discipline that you build when you dedicate yourself to practicing Kaizen. It makes the whole abstract idea of self-improvement feel solid, tangible, like a force you can really feel. And the sages even offer a practical tool for this. They teach that it takes 21 days in a row of doing something new to forge a new pathway in your brain. So after 21 days, that thing you were forcing yourself to do, like waking up early or meditating, it starts to become an automatic, unbreakable habit. Okay, so we've looked at the lessons in the story. But now let's kind of pull back the curtain and look at the storytelling itself. Because the way this book delivers its message is honestly just as important as the message itself. It's a really good question, right? Robin Sharma could have just written a simple nonfiction book called 7 Rules for a Better Life. So why go to all the trouble of creating this whole story about Julian, the Ferrari, the monks in the mountains? Well, the answer is in this genre that some analysts call corporate fiction. It's this incredibly powerful technique that wraps up lessons inside of a story, which makes these big, complex, or abstract ideas way easier to understand, to connect with, and, at the end of the day, to actually remember. And you can see how this narrative trick gets used in different ways. The monk who sold his Ferrari tells what you could call a top-down story. A guy who already has all the conventional success goes looking for deeper spiritual meaning. But a book like Alice in Corporate Land uses a bottom-up approach, where a fresh new graduate learns the ropes of corporate success. Both are using fiction to teach, but they're aimed at totally different journeys and goals. So the big question is, how do we bring all this wisdom home? How can we take these lessons from Julian's crazy journey and actually apply them to our own lives? Preferably without having to sell our cars and move to the Himalayas. Well, here's one super simple but really powerful practice from the book. It's called the Ritual of Abundant Knowledge. It's just 2 steps. First, read for at least 30 minutes every single day and choose books that really expand your mind. And second, after you read, take a few minutes to just reflect on it. Think about how you can take that new knowledge and actually use it in your life. This quote just perfectly captures the whole spirit of that ritual. You're probably not the first person to face the challenges you're facing. The answers you're looking for, chances are they're already waiting for you in the pages of a book written by someone who has already walked that same path. And all of this, really, it brings us to the ultimate philosophy of the book. The goal isn't just to survive life or to get through it. The goal is to approach it like an artist. Your life itself is your greatest creation. It's your masterpiece. So I'll leave you with this last really powerful question from the book. It comes from what they call the deathbed mentality. If you knew for a fact that today was your last day on Earth, what would suddenly become important? What would you prioritize? And what would just fall away as meaningless? It's amazing how thinking about the end has a way of making things crystal clear, right here, right now.